Yeah, hi. Long time no see, and as you can see, I'm not exactly in the best of conditions. Yeah, it's been rough. They didn't have hair dryers at the camping grounds. You might be wondering what the hell am I talking about. Sure. So, long time no see. I'm gonna point the camera forward for your comfort and also mine. But yeah, it's been quite a while actually since I filmed a video reflection. I was planning to film one during Conrad, but every time I got out the camera to film, I kind of just went to bed because I was too tired. Yeah, so I have a couple updates. I am probably going to film another one about Conrad when I arrive at my house. Right now, I'm just going to film about, or I'm just going to talk about my APs, because right now it's AP season. Today is May 8th? 7th. Today is May 7th. It's AP season, and so that explains why I'm leaving my school, which is, you think you can see my school there, right? Yeah. That's why I'm leaving my school. I just took the AP English Literature exam. Yesterday I took the AP Chemistry exam, which Chemistry I think I got a 5. This might just be me being, slightly more cocky and less humble, but I think I got a 5. I did study quite a bit for that exam. AP English Literature, on the other hand, that's really more of an exam I took because I like taking English exams. That might sound weird, but I do. I like taking the SAT. I like taking English exams, whether that be a quiz, because it's fun. And I think it helps, but really I wasn't aiming to get a 5 for the Eng Lit exam. I think I got a 4. I sat down with a friend and we did some calculations. I think I got a 4, and if I'm unlucky, I get a 3. But yeah, definitely not a 5. But that's fine. But I don't really want to talk about exam scores. I don't really mind what I got. That's not what I want to talk about. It's more about, some of the thoughts that I had taking the APs this year and why I take APs in general. That's another interesting point that I wanted to talk about, but I don't think I ever have talked about on the channel. So I take 7 AP tests this year, and probably going to take a couple more next year as well, and I already have 2 5s from last year. That's considering the average student at my school has about 4 to 5 5s. It's a lot of exams that I take, and the reason I take so many is actually quite simple. It's because I want to learn and retain information. Now you might be wondering, well, don't you already learn and retain information at school? Isn't that what school is for? Your classes. And yeah, sure, I studied for midterms, I study for finals, and that sure does help retain some of the information I learned during class, but it doesn't stick. Which might sound weird, but it actually doesn't stick, at least not for me, because I don't spend a lot of time studying, and I do it in very short bursts when I study for tests. So I don't study some material extensively, and sure, that might be better for getting an A or a B or the score you want for your GPA, but if you've studied in short bursts, you know that information is going to go straight out your brain the moment the test is over. It's not going to be retained. So then, by that logic, my next question to myself would be, then why do you study for APs with the intention to retain knowledge if you just said you're going to forget everything after the exam? Well, the thing is, I only forget everything after the exam because the exam is easy. I'm not trying to brag because I'm not good at some of the subjects that I'm tested on, the exams, the midterms and the finals that our school provide for international students are, in my opinion, my humble opinion, they are easy. A bit too easy for me. And by easy, I mean I don't get everything right. That's not what I want to say, because I don't. I get a lot of them wrong. I make a lot of mistakes. What I mean by easy is if I want to get an A, I don't really have to try that hard to get it. I don't have to challenge myself to the full extent to get an A, which would make sense because there's like 8 subjects that students are tested on. If they had to push themselves to their limits for all 8 subjects, all the international kids would probably be stuck in their room studying. So I understand that. But still, that doesn't change the fact that after a test, even though on my portfolio it says I have scored an A on the AP Physics 2 curriculum that the school provides, I don't know how to do circuits. I don't know how to do electricity and magnetism and things like that. And that's not really what I want to be spending my parents' hard-earned money for, right? This school costs about $20,000 a year to attend, and I don't want to spend my parents' hard-earned money on just getting an A on my report card. Okay, I actually want to learn stuff so that I can build on that knowledge once I get to college. Because over the couple of years, I have actually become quite a believer in education. I think learning things are great. It enhances a lot of your overall knowledge and ability to adapt and make choices in life. I think education is very important. And if I'm in one of the most expensive institutions for education in South Korea, I want to get a proportional amount of education, an amount of education proportional to the money I put in. Okay, if that makes sense. Anyway, so that's why I take APs, because for APs the tests are hard, and because they are hard, I study more, a lot more. And when I study to a certain extent, I don't forget things after the exam because they're sort of embedded in my hardwire. And so I don't have to consciously test myself every now and then again to retain the information. For instance, yesterday I took the AP Chem exam. I can still solve any stoichiometry problem, or most stoichiometry problems, most acid-base titration problems. I know what molecular structures are. I know what intermolecular forces are because I studied for the exam, not because I took the course. Okay, so that's why I take APs. If I'm interested in a topic or a subject like chemistry, statistics, physics, I'm gonna take a test so that I study and push myself to learn. That's why I take APs. So I'm probably going to have about 10 or 11 fives by the time I graduate because of my gap year. And I will be confident in saying that I know the materials that I learned in those exams because I took the test. That, for me, is why I take APs. That's the first message or reflection that I wanted to talk about. The second one was about the English literature exam. And there's a couple points that I want to talk about on that topic, actually. The exam itself it was a lot easier than I thought. But the reason is, I would say I would credit the reason for it being easy to the SATs. The MCQ section felt a lot harder when I echo. Ah! Woo! Hear that? That's the echo, everybody. Physics! I don't know what I'm doing, but that was cool. Anyway, I want to attribute the decrease in difficulty to me taking 3 consecutive SAT exams. And the SATs really helped because when I was preparing for them, I read a lot more than I used to. I read... Whoa. Okay, that was loud. I read a lot more, and that really enhanced my ability to read in general. It improved reading comprehension, reading speeds on so many fronts. I actually have a 760 on reading and writing SAT as of this moment. I'm trying to get an 800, so I'm going to take the SAT again. But basically, the SAT helped a lot with reading comprehension, and that in turn helped a lot with the MCQ section in the AP English Literature exam. So I think I got a pretty decent score on the MCQ. However, I have not prepared at all for the writing section. I know the basic layout on how I'm supposed to write something, but that's basically it. I have not practiced writing, and that is definitely my fault, because I wouldn't say it's a fault, because I wasn't trying to get a good score on this one. Some things you just do for fun. This is another exercise that I've done for fun, but now that I've taken the exam once, I think, yeah, I'll do it again next year. Practicing for AP English Literature, by the same logic that I used for all the other APs, will definitely help me improve my writing skills. I'm sure of that. And yeah, so I think I'll take the AP exam again next year. This year I think I'll print my score too, maybe a 3 or a 4, I think. Yeah, that's about it. One of the last things was on the AP English Literature exam, there were a couple of really good prose and poems. One of them was, what was it about? It was about, how this guy, he really liked this other woman. It was like back in the Pride and Prejudice era. He really liked this other woman, but due to social status, whatever, the woman rejects him, and he goes on to travel the world and learn things. And it's really not much, but I just thought it was a very nice, heartwarming story, that after he travels around the world, it actually heals him quite a bit. So I thought that was a fun, amiable story. That's why I mentioned it. Anyway, that's about it. I'll film another one when I'm back home. Bye-bye.